How happy are you with 2020? Are you happy that lots of small businesses have been forced into bankruptcy to no fault of their own because they were deemed not essential? I've talked about how I'm happy that didn't happen to me because I would have gone to some crazy vigilante end if these corrupt politicians and these idiotic mayors and experts did that to me and my family, because I've been an entrepreneur for 13 years now, and that business is essential to me and my family and my future. Not to mention the fact that some people have invested their life savings in their business. Now, that's just one example. Are you happy about the absurd lockdowns that aren't based in science, that haven't actually done anything? Are you happy about the fact that suicides are higher than the actual death from this supposed? Are you happy that your constitutional rights are trampled on in the name of safety, just like they did with the Patriot Act and any other thing? Every time there's something that we're going to do to make you safe, it's just an excuse to take away rights. The fact that we used to think terrorism was such a big deal, it's so telling of how easy it is to manipulate the masses. I almost forgot. Are you happy that 50% of America is overweight or obese? 1 in 3 children. Most of them have been listening to the experts, eating a high carb, low fat diet, watching their red meat consumption, reducing their salt intake, things that are unequivocally backwards. Here's the thing. This is a good example. It's just nutrition. It's the research around it. It's the lobbying, the money, and the government, and all this nonsense. But they weren't just kind of wrong. They were so not even in the realm. I mean, they were the opposite of right. They were the stark opposite. And the recommendations they've been espousing for years are the stark opposite of what you should be doing for your health and nutrition. Who's going to blame? Who's paying the bill? No, nobody. Nobody's even come up and said we were wrong, we're sorry. They just subtly change the things every so often. Even though the USDA did have the new food pyramid updated, and it's a lot of the same garbage. I think they've tweaked a few things about like not reducing red meat or something. I don't know. The fact that people listen to these people is very scary for our future. And so really the call to action to you is just simply, if you're not happy with 2020, if you're not happy with these morons are doing, and these useful idiots, which is basically almost everybody in politics. We don't need to talk about left or right, although I do think the left's absolutely crazy, at least the way they're trying to get people to vote for them and the narrative and the divisiveness. I do see that more on the left. But let's just assume all politics is absolutely batshit crazy. Unless you're talking about the Constitution and protecting American values, of which the Constitution, the Bill of Rights in America was founded on. Things like freedom of speech, not censoring, small limited government, real money, not fiat dollars. Unless you're talking about those things, everything else is basically a waste of time. It's why you should have limited government, because the government should not be involved in doing things. Government, by definition, cannot be effective. It cannot not waste money. It cannot not selectively prosecute some people while let others get off and violate certain people's rights. So if you're not happy with 2020, you have to please stop listening to, paying attention to, giving clicks and likes to these morons. And this includes celebrities and athletes. I've been seeing some of the most absurd notions from all of them. LeBron James is stoking racial divide. All these morons that are hopping on the race bandwagon are only creating a more fragile world where there will actually be more racism as a result. There will be more divide. There will be more tribalism. It will eventually lead to something like probably civil war. Whether that will be based on race or whether that will be based on left versus right or that will be based on north versus south, who freaking knows? But the more you polarize people, the more they find camps on other sides, and the more you get this natural us versus them. And this will be the downfall of America. The other thing that these morons are doing, these useful idiots, these politicians, these local governments, these complete and utter morons that play sports or act in movies, their entire job is based on one specific thing. They think they should talk about politics. They think they should have any say in anything. Someone like LeBron James, for example, has like 47 million followers or something. His reach is bigger than a lot of the media companies. It's like, what? These people are strip mining America. They're sucking out money, writing bad laws and papering over other ones and adding amendments to things that don't need to have amendments added, reinterpreting things, getting people in the Supreme Court and here and there, doing favors for everyone. It's crony politics and it's crony capitalism. And now it's become crony ideas, where your ideas are like this side or that side. Usually they give you a social benefit. There's actually a good article about this called crony beliefs. It's this idea that most people believe things if there's a social benefit. This is very, very fascinating. Nobody talks about this. So think about it. There's a group of people, your friends, they all think a certain way, or your family. Do you have incentive to think like them or to challenge them and think differently? Obviously, it's very, very few people that can go against their in-group and do anything that's contrary to this. This is obviously evolutionary reason. We don't need to talk about that, but it is what it is. So how many of your beliefs are based on maybe somebody you like or somebody you follow or some celebrity that does, says, or thinks a certain way that you want to do the same thing? So you emulate them, regardless of whether it's detached from reality or it's based on facts or science or anything. Crony beliefs, crony capitalism, crony beliefs. This cronyism is destroying America. It's strip mining. It's pulling it out. It's quite literally raping and pillaging America and our way of life. Now, this is a message for every American, is no matter what side you're on. Like, obviously, I told you my bias, what I lean towards, because freedom of speech, right to bear arms, all the amendments, privacy, etc. These are what America was founded on. These are the things that we need to protect and hold dear. If you're on any side of the spectrum and you don't agree with that, then that's anti-America. It's un-American. It just is what it is. It's an inconvenient truth. I know it is. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. And the reality is, like, you don't have to respect that or want that or anything, but just leave, get out. Stop wasting our time. Stop trying to erode and destroy the way of life that so many have given their life for. It's a very simple message. If you're sick of 2020, if you're not happy about the crap going on, ignore these people. Don't watch them on the news. Don't click on their YouTube videos. If you do happen to find yourself somewhere, leave negative comments, downvote it, report it, do anything you can. We need to fight back these really, really bad ideas from these completely absurd, brainwashed, agenda perpetuating, fake news, narrative laden nonsense. It's ruining this country. And this is also why I believe that the internet is the greatest existential threat to humanity, because it just moves us to polarization. It moves us to tribalism. I used to think pro-internet. I was like, the internet's the greatest thing ever. It's going to give equality to everyone. And it has, right? Like, but most people don't have the wherewithal or the time or whatever to even use it in a way that's beneficial. So they just get sucked into what everyone else is doing. They get on their device, they go on the same apps, they go on the same feed, and they actually just quickly become mind slaves. They become sheep. The internet is like the Matrix plug that people just willingly go to, or unwillingly, maybe they don't even know. And people think that what they see on TV, on these devices, on their phone, they think that's reality. And so they create beliefs around it. And like, if one social media person says something impassioned and it's a good video, it's well edited, and there's a nice set, it's like, it's so easy to manipulate people. They won't question it. They won't even ask, what's the counterpoint to this? Most of them will just subscribe to that person. Then the algorithm will feed them up more of the same things. Anything that they don't want to see or hear, they'll just like delete or close. And the algorithm will learn from that as well. So they become quite literally talking robots of whoever they're following online. That's why I think it's the greatest danger. If you're not happy with 2020, or if you're sick of any of this crap, get your plan B, stop supporting them, do the things I talked about, unplug, disconnect, focus on yourself, your family, get your passport, get some gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Maybe an equal mix of each would be fine. Maybe eyeball some other countries. I'm personally looking at Mexico, Portugal, maybe Costa Rica. At first it was Costa Rica, but then they went crazy with their lockdowns. They kind of followed in the US footsteps. That's made me very nervous. I don't want to deal with that. Mexico's been super lax. I like that. Portugal, I don't really know what's going on just yet, but I'm looking into it. And so I have some places that if stuff really hits the fan, if I have to leave, even if it's just for a little bit of time, I already have that planned, basically. You can learn more about my plan B and get other guides like this and other content like this over at Colin.coach. There's a guide section, and you can obviously subscribe, get on the AM5 newsletter, get all the content every weekend. I hope you found some value out of this. I hope you do something with this information. I hope at the very least you try to seek disconfirming evidence. You try to disprove what you believe. You try to follow people that are counter to what you believe. And if somebody is saying something that's absolutely absurd, even if you identify as a Democrat or left, or even if you like that person, what they said that's absurd, that message needs to be considered in a vacuum. Ignore your bias because you have likability bias. You want to believe that what they're saying is true because you like the person. This is extremely dangerous. Just another form of confirmation bias, and it leads humanity astray. And it's a lot of the reason we have such a divide. I'll see you in the next one.